What's good, YouTube? It's your boy CMG back with another haircut tutorial, and today we're doing a drop fade. I had some other footage, but it did not save for some reason, so we're gonna start from here. You want to start by setting in your guideline. You want to do a rainbow shape because we are doing a drop fade, so you want to leave the back kind of dark. I normally press in my guideline, but if you're a beginner, I would suggest that you don't press it in and kind of just flip the clipper upside down. Like, don't do it the way it's like I'm showing it right now. Like, turn the clipper upside down like this and ball up all the hair underneath, because you will leave a harsh guideline, and if you're not an experienced cutter, it will be very hard to get that line out. Before you set your guidelines in, remember to comb through the hair and try to connect the hair to the fade. It might sound kind of weird, but when I cut, I always try to connect my blends into the bulk on top. And another good reason why you're supposed to comb out the hair before you start cutting is because people could have bumps, blemishes, scabs, scars underneath, and you need to know this before you just go out the head. So combing out is a good way to see that before you go and start putting your guidelines in. Okay, so now you want to grab your clipper and put it all the way open. I normally like to go through and put this guideline all the way throughout the head first before I start fading all the way through, because this kind of sets up my fade to where I know this first initial guideline is the same length all the way around the head. Remember, while you're setting this guideline, that you want to do this in a rainbow shape also. The drop fade, you kind of want to leave the back as dark as possible, so the line will be a little bit shorter in the back and a little bit longer on the side. Alright, so now we're going to start to fade our guideline out. You want to take your clipper and put it in a closed position and start to notch out at the bottom of that guideline. And from the bottom, you're going to slowly increase the lever notch by notch, or if you don't have notches on your clipper, you go up quarter by quarter and slowly take that bottom line out. Okay, so now we're going to take our number 2 guard and we're going to use it open. With this guard, you're going to want to try not to create another guideline. I'm just using it to kind of clear the bulk off and connect the fade to the top hair. As you can see, I'm kind of flicking when I get towards the top. You just really want to clear that bulk out so you're able to see what you're doing. Now I'm going to take the 2 guard halfway open, and this is when I'm really actually like starting my fade. When I use the 2 open, it's kind of more like I said, just creating the shape of my fade, but this is actually where my highest length will be. I will close it down till 2 closed, and I'm kind of just going to go right underneath where I use the 2 open, keeping that rainbow shape. Now I'm coming in with my 1.5 open. Pretty much the same things, keeping that same rainbow shape. Try not to go too high, because if you go too high, you're gonna push up the whole entire fade. As you can see, I'm kind of flicking out still a little bit because I don't want to dig into that and want to leave my darkness. As you can see, I'm kind of avoiding the front part of the tape line, like where that bushy hair at. I want to leave that pretty much as dark as possible because I feel like that's what leaves the rainbow shape, in my opinion, and that's what makes a drop fade. Now I'm coming in with my 1 guard, pretty much same stuff apply. I'm gonna start open, I'm gonna fade down. If you haven't realized by now, I like to fade down, I don't like to fade up. I feel like fading down keeps the darkness, and that's what I like to do. If you guys want a tutorial on setting the guidelines and fading through all the guidelines, I can do that, but on my day-to-day cutting, this is how I cut, and I do not use guidelines for the most part. So like with the 1, you just want to make sure it's pretty much the same thing, just you're not going up too high, because once you go too high, you're gonna have to push up the whole entire fade to get the line out. So for the most part, after I'm done fading with the 1, you can see the fade is pretty much almost done. There's 1 more line left in the cut that I'm gonna have to take out with the half guard and some refining to do, but other than that, the fade is pretty much done. Now I'm coming in with my half guard halfway open. For the most part, you don't need to use your half guard open because a half guard and your clipper halfway open is pretty much a 1. So I just try to use the corners and flick, because you can indeed push your fade up, like I've been saying, with this guard really easily. And there isn't really much of a line. This is more pretty much spots more than a line on this particular cut. So I'm just trying to flick and really do lever play to kind of use my eyes to fade. Now we are in our detail process. As you can see, I have 1 more line left into the fade that I have to take out. I'll probably go back in with my 1.5 or 2 guard and flick at it. Looks like I went back in with my 1.5 guard. And I kind of just flick at this line, try not to go too high to get it out. When fading down, this can tend to happen sometimes. You might miss a spot or not go over the spot as much as you're supposed to, but it's fine because at the end of all my cuts, I go back in detail. Now, as you boys can see, the fade looks pretty crisp, you know what I'm saying? For most people, that would have been done, but I still gotta go back and detail up. Just hit the little spots that you might see that's not exactly perfect, you know what I'm saying? In my opinion, this is what separates a good barber and a great barber. A great barber can go back and see things that a good barber couldn't necessarily see. So I normally like to take my Babyliss and do it all the way open, because it's kind of like a half guard, and just hit any little spot that I see that I feel can be lightened up. As I'm watching this back now, if I could go back and fix anything, I would take a 2 guard and go against the grain, or actually I would go with the grain, and I'll knock down that front piece. I know I said I'd like to keep it dark, but for me right now, it just looks way too bushy. Alright, for the rest of the fading process, I want you guys to just kind of follow along and try to pick up on what I'm doing. It's all literally the same steps. There's no point in me repeating the same steps. If you guys want a super in-depth tutorial, let me know. I can make one of those, but for the most part, I'm just let you guys kind of vibe out and try to pick up on what I'm doing. Alright, so I know I said I'm gonna vibe out, but I forgot to tell you guys about this part. So in the back, it got real bushy for me, and I know you want to leave it dark, but a good way to blend it without taking off too much bulk is is taking the clipper and going downwards with the grain. It doesn't take off as much hair, and it still lightens it up a bit. Alright, so here is a technique that I shouldn't be showing you guys for free. It took me a long time to learn myself, but this is just clip over comb with a guard. Like I said, it was just too dark for me up there, and I had to blend it in some more. So this is like the most effective way of doing it lightly and without taking off too much hair. You feel me? Alright, for the other side of the head, I'm pretty much just gonna skip the process of y'all watching it, but the fade came out crispy as always, you know what I'm saying? So let's get into the lineup. Alright, starting off with my lineup, I like to go through and kind of brush out the hair and figure out, does he have any cowlicks, anything that you might want to look at before you just start lining them up. I like to brush the hair down in place also, because wherever you line the hair up is where it's going to sit at. So keep that in mind before you line it up. Alright, so my line-up process is pretty much taking all the grease and oil off the skin, or even some people have the old enhancements on their head. So I'll grab me a neck strip and spray it down with alcohol and pretty much just wipe down the hair and the skin, trying to get anything off of it and trying to dry out that as much as possible. Now I want to take some Gotta Be, which is just some holding spray, and I want to spray it on my hairline. Try not to spray it too much on his forehead or too much on his hair because it could look shiny. But all this is just drying it out furthermore, so when I do line it up with my trimmers, it creates a natural ash line. Okay, so now I want to come in with my comb. The comb doesn't really matter, just make sure that's straight. I like to use my comb as kind of like a measuring tape for my tape line. I don't use it all the time, but for the most part, if you need a guide to where to start at and kind of get an idea of how you want it to look, the comb is going to be the straightest thing that you have. So I'll just put it there and pretty much use my comb. A lot of times people ask me like what I do for my tape ups and how I go about doing tape ups, and I've learned through cutting, in my opinion, tape up is something you gotta kind of just learn how to do and get better at. There's little things I could teach you, but for the most part, you just kind of gotta like do it to learn it, you know what I'm saying? The more you do it, the straighter your lines will get. One tip that I can give you guys is, just because someone doesn't have hair in a particular spot, don't take it up to the darkest hair. So like as you see in this cut, he has light corners, but I'm acting as if there is hair in those corners because at the end of this cut, he does end up getting enhancements. All this is really is preserving the hairline. You never know, his hair might start growing back thicker in that spot, but if you take it back, you take away the chance of that even being able to come back. Alright, so here's another gem. I shouldn't be giving you all this, but I'm giving it to y'all. So grab your comb, and this is just how you make sure both of your C-cups are even. I drag the comb to the other side of the head. Like I said, the comb is a straight line, so you make sure you just keep the comb straight and like rotate it to the other side. You know exactly where to put the other C-cup at. People a lot of times thinks that pushing back C-cups is a bad thing, but if one side grows lower than the other, you have to push it back. So just keep that in mind while you're doing it. Every pushback isn't a bad pushback. But YouTube, that's the cut, you feel me? Nice, clean, natural. I did end up putting enhancements on it, but I didn't record it. If you guys want a full enhancement tutorial, just let me know down below. Comment it. Just let me know if I get more than 1 or 2 in the comments. I'll definitely drop an enhancement tutorial. But this is the before and after. As you can see, it's pretty clean, feel me? Nice, clean, sharp. Like I said, if y'all have any other requests, the haircuts y'all might want to see me do, any techniques or tutorials, let me know. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get back on this grind, but with all that being said, it's your boy CMG, and I'm out. Peace.
Alright, bro, you ready to see it?